I was surprised that the euro didn't even make it down and touch this 484. And one of the concerns I had was the struggle that the dollar Swiss was having maintained against this bias pivot. And actually now we're below the bias pivot. But that's a good marker, a good indicator of strength, or in this case, lack of strength when it comes to the dollar. It's not always on cue, but it's something that you want. It's a good idea to go and take a look at it. I'm trying to look here. And I'm looking at data coming out today, and the only thing I'm showing that we have today is going to be ISM non-manufacturing PMI. And that's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern. So let's go and take a look at the euro, which is working a little bit higher. We're seeing the dollar work lower. And let's take a look at this. You can see here in the dollar index, we came into that 216. There was our resistance here. We got a little bit above it. We're starting to weaken here, and you're seeing the euro work higher. And let's take a look at this, because the bias pivot is a key thing. That's what they're going to try and go for, but that's where they would have their struggles if they have any struggles. We had support yesterday at 484, and the euro is really held up quite well, because we were talking about the potential we could come down here to this 453. I thought the 484 would probably just be just a pause before this market really made an extended move towards this 453. This where the road would meet the road, and we might be seeing this about the time that Yellen and Fisher were speaking. And surprisingly, the euro, when the dollar was really pushing higher yesterday, the euro was really fighting it. Even when the bonds were making new lows, the euro was still fighting it. So it looked looked quite well, when we were moving that. And I even thought at least they'd probably come down towards this 44. They barely even dipped below it. So offer the opportunity, and you're starting to see that a little bit of short covering. Personally, I don't think that Yellen, I don't know about Fisher, but I don't think Yellen is going to be, I think she'll state that there's a possibility, but I don't think she's going to be reinforcing all this ideas of raising rates. I mean, it's close enough, so I guess they probably already know, or how they want to vote. So we'll have to see. But usually, she's always quick enough to box herself in. But the data's been good overall, so it probably looks like they were leaning that way. Although, like I said, it looked like that way about 2.5 weeks ago, and then she speaks, and it looks like, uh-oh, I guess not. And then things, change rather quickly. We're already pushing up right now to 557 now here on the euro. So let's go and take a look at resistance on this thing. We know that the real pushback is going to be this bias pivot, 568. But I think the real resistance, let's say that we pop above that, is going to be right here, back to this bar. We had that, I think that the day before that was the resistance. Let's go and take a look at the actual level here. Yeah, 585. So we're going to call this 585 for the resistance for today. Even though 568 is the most important, it's a bias pivot. But with the bias pivot, it's and they'll get some pushback, but they would have to close above the bias pivot to open us to go higher. And so we could get past it and end up filling at 585 and still close, let's say, just below the bias pivot. So that's why I'm going to list this 585 as our resistance. And let's take a look at the support. Yeah, I thought we would have seen that 484 yesterday. I really did, because like I said, there was so much pressure, downside pressure. or upside pressure for the dollar. But like I said, the euro really held up like a champ and was really fighting it, even as the dollar was strengthening. The euro was having no part of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep it a little bit wide, because let's say that Yellen comes in and really does start to talk, you know what I mean, or start to echo. To a certain extent, I don't think all that much, but let's say she begins to echo a little bit of this sentiment, you know, or shows herself quite open for a rate rise in March, and we really get a good spook, then I think we're going to stick with this 44 for the support, because that would take out the lows here. You might even dip a little bit below that, and you probably end up seeing some, you know, people stepping in and covering some of the shorts on this for different reasons. They may say, you know, it's the end of the week, I'm still short. Wow, what a great opportunity! Now I'm able to go in and cover, you know, with new lows here, and I think that we could, like I said, on that we could end up pushing down really quick. I don't think she's going to be necessarily that open. I mean, I think she'll probably communicate that she's open, that probably provide some pressure, but if we scare the market, I think that this is where you can be support. It could dip a little bit below, maybe into the 70s, but this would be a good area. So although it seems a little bit wide, we're going to keep that here for 44 on this. So let's go on and move into the cable. We had our support for 22.34. We're actually 22.46 right now. And this cable's really had a tough time. $78 would come in at 28.40, and I do want to mark that off. So we had support today. I mean, it would go all the way into today till this morning. It's 22.34. We are above that. Let's get a better idea of what's happening here. Obviously, we've got this downside pressure that's strong. This whole area looks pretty good, 22.08. We almost made it down there too. You see all the support coming in? So we're going to use this. Hang on. $22.08. Let's mark that off. So that's going to be our support today, 22.08. And then this has gone from range to bearish now. As far as resistance, That would have to be right here. $23.18. Now let's go and move into the Aussie dollar, which has had a pretty good fall. We had support at 75.74. It's even dipped well below that. So let's look at the, if you take a look at this range here, this is going to be, 75.20 is going to be the 38% of this entire range here. So let's go and mark this off. Yeah, it looks like this is where ultimately we're going to be heading anyway. And a pretty good support level coming across actually at the same level. So let me go and mark this off. It's actually 75.15. So. Right there. So for support, we're going to go in and mark this because it's set up for a decent little fall here. We did have some support coming right there. Actually, that was a low right there, 75.44. Just look at the touches. Hang on. But we're going to go with 75.15, and 75.20 is at 38%. So let's mark this up for 75.15 for support. And for resistance, we're going to have to go back with the 76.09 right here. And I'm going to go in and line this up a little bit. Now it's been bullish, but on a short-term basis, I think we have to say it's going to be a range. I mean, on a very, very short-term basis, you start to say it's turning bearish, but we can't, on a short-term basis, say it's still bullish. I mean, technically, until we break below the 75.15, let's take a look at this. But on a short-term basis, we have to say it's in a range now. So let's move this over here. Yeah, let's go and take a look at the Kiwi and how we stand there. So the Kiwi had 70.58, and it even got below that, which is a 61%. So, and it just goes to show you how the dollar has really done well. I mean, obviously this against the Aussie and the Kiwi, but how the euro has held up really well against those. So let's take a look where we can find some support in here. That's going to come in here at the 69.74 area here. It's actually showing 69.77. But they'll probably be moving around all over the place, but we'll say for starters, that's 69. We're going to say 69.75, but this market comes in at 69.76. For today, we're going to say 70.10, so hang on. Like that, 70.10. So we'll say for support today, it's going to be 70.10. We'll mark that on. And resistance would come in, or we're looking for it to come in. It would have to be right there. It's not even that far away, really, if you think about it. But it's been a one-way train. That's a long ways away, 71.10. I don't really see the, how could really realistically make it there. We're going to go with this 70.70 right there. Obviously, he still remains bearish. And let's go into the dollar CAD, which remains just strong as can be. We were looking, you see here, 3409, but, well, actually, that's what's running a little bit of a gas right there, but that's our 3409 right there. We'll go and mark this here. Heck of a move so far. If you look at that, coming across, overall pretty solid right there, if you think about it. That was a little bit of a push, so let's drag this over here. And this level up here, but we're going to stick with this 3409 for right now. It would be all the way up here at 3472. And 3465 will be the 78%. So we're going to stick with this 3409, and for support, it has to be right here at 3334. Yeah, we'll go with 3334. It's time for a break, and we'll be back. And thanks for joining us here on the Morning Edge. And oh, okay. Let's see. Lou says, "Can you give Blake Morrow's email or website where he works?" It's Forex Analytics. That's what Blake. Let me see if I can put that for you. Hang on.